What's up guys, how's it going? So it's currently 4 days out from my second race of the season, Challenge Frejus, and I realised I never did a proper debrief about my first race 3 weeks ago. So I'm just out for the final pre-race spin. It's like 9:30, day before, and yeah, I am suddenly really nervous. I've been feeling like pretty chill all week, and now I'm kind of bricking it, but legs feel good. The run is completely unknown. But yeah, bike feels good. I put new chain on, put the disc wheel on, fast chain ring, and it's feeling crisp, so ready to go. I posted some brief thoughts on Instagram, but thought that I should just run through things hopefully quite quickly. How it went, how I found it, and whether there were any major differences stepping up from age group racing to pro racing. So the swim start was absolute chaos. I've done mass start races before, maybe not with that many guys alongside me, but this was by far the most chaotic swim I'd ever done. And it wasn't that it caught me by surprise. I knew exactly what to expect, but it was still an experience, and it's still something that I definitely wasn't used to. Whether you ever get used to it, I don't know. Maybe if you're a good swimmer, you just swim straight off the front. But yeah, it was chaos. That being said, I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised to be in it. I was worried that I'd be out the back straight away, and although it didn't take long, I at least hung with the group for a little bit. I would say kind of 200 meters, and then I had to back off a little bit. I didn't lose touch with the group, but that was when it sort of settled down and people, I guess, found their order in the group. And around 400 meters, maybe a bit earlier, from what I could see, it was all still connected. It was basically single file, so all in one long line. That might be a different story up front. Maybe I couldn't see what was actually going on, but that's how it looked to me. And I had at least one guy on my feet, but other than that, I think I was the last person in the group. There were some people who had been spat out the back already. And then, yeah, I don't know, some point like 450, 500 meters, it was kind of going around, I think the second buoy, a few people in front of me, like a gap opened up, and that was what ended up being the second main group gone. And that's fine. Like, it was annoying, but at the same time, I couldn't have done anything differently. If I could have been in a higher position in the group, I would have been, and then I probably wouldn't have been able to hang on to that anyway. So not a complaint, just an observation of what happened. And then I came out of the first lap. It was an Aussie exit with 3 other guys, and I was happy with that situation. I was happy to be in a group of sorts and not be on my own. And then as soon as we dove back in for the second lap, the other 3 just kind of drifted away from me. I don't know whether they increased the pace or I dropped off or I just didn't react quick enough, but by the time I realised I really needed to close the gap, it was too late, and I put in a surge and I didn't have enough to close it. So that was frustrating. Whether I could have stayed with them, I don't know, but I didn't. So yeah, most of the second lap I ended up doing on my own, and it was a bit annoying to come off the swim on my own. I perhaps naively thought that in a field with almost 50 guys, there would be a group, maybe like a third group that I could stick with of slightly weaker swimmers, but that just wasn't the case. And you know, that's pro racing, that's fine. So, but ultimately my time wasn't bad. It was annoying to be on my own, but some of the other guys that I raced in Cascais at the end of the year, I closed the gap to them by 90 seconds. It's frustrating to be as far back as I was, but it's a good sign that I have at least improved since the end of last year. So yeah, hopefully I can keep that going, and by the end of the year, maybe even come onto the bike with a good group of guys. T1, not much to say. Got onto the bike. Legs didn't feel very awake, to be honest, but it was a super lumpy course. It's 4 out and back loops. Challenge Gran Canaria course, and I basically just rode on feel, surged up the climbs, you know, put the power down when it mattered, and kind of eased off and took the corners well. I was super happy with how I was riding my bike technically, and as I said, my legs didn't feel great, but I checked my power meter at the end of the first out and back, and the numbers were basically exactly what I would have been aiming for. So yeah, sensations weren't great, but everything was where it should have been. Now, I will say the thing with an out and back course is you can very clearly see the other people in the race and how far ahead of you they are. And I nearly lost my head on that first lap when I saw the gap to the other groups and how well some of them were working together. As part of racing, again, I get punished for the swim, and that's fine. That's the way it is. I know what I need to work on, but it's tough But I kept my head down, and actually after that I kept checking the gap every half lap, and it didn't check, apart from to the front guys, people like Sam Laidlow, who's obviously a bit of a weapon on the bike. To some of the other groups, the gap didn't really change that much, so I'm actually really happy with how I rode it on my own. I think I lost a fair chunk of time in the last lap, or the last half lap, where I faded a little bit and the wind picked up and I was riding on my own, but otherwise I think the way I rode is really positive, and I think it shows, well, at least I'm confident that if I can get into a bike pack coming out the swim, like I can easily stay with them and contribute even to the chase. So yeah, looking at the timing sheet, my bike is still like I'm losing time to all the guys in front of me, but at the same time, the fact that I was on my own, I'm pretty happy with how I held it. And yeah, you know, I still made up 10 places on the bike, which is nice. I picked off, yeah, quite a few guys, and only one could stay with me. That was Finn. I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. He was ill in the lead up, so you know, his race is not an accurate reflection of what he's capable of. He wasn't able to contribute any work, unfortunately, but I knew that if he could come around me, he would. And it was nice having him there as well, because it kept me honest. It made sure, like, even when I was starting to get tired, I still took the corners well, I still surged when I needed to surge, and I held position and didn't get lazy with that. So it was good having him there and keeping me honest. So again, the bike, like, the results sheet doesn't necessarily show it, but I think it's positive. And finally, the run. There's not much to say. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I'd been nursing an injury. I hadn't run for 2 weeks going into the race, and unfortunately I did lose a lot of run form, which is the way it is. I was running like 340 per K, felt really comfortable aerobically, but my legs just didn't have any more. I executed it very well, and that I'm happy with. You know, I could tell instantly how much my legs had, and I got everything out of them. But yeah, unfortunately the pace wasn't there, so the run wasn't an accurate representation of the work I feel I've put in over the winter. But hopefully that will come back over the next few weeks as I get back to running. And yeah, it's a shame, because if I'd done the run I think I'm capable of, in fact, even if I'd done the run that I did at the end of last year, I would have been over 3 minutes quicker, and you know, I would have been challenging the top 20, which in a field like that would have been really cool. So it's a shame, but again, encouraging to know that if my run's where I think it should be in the coming races, it should be competitive. And yeah, I'm confident that I can string something good together. So yeah, there's not much to say about the run this time. Yeah, overall a positive experience. And the biggest takeaway for me was it was a super fun day. I had such a good time, apart from the brief moment where I got really demoralised on the bike. But it was so good to be back racing and, you know, getting to take part in this thing that I've wanted for so many years. So that was great. The support was fantastic. The course was fun. The bike course was really fun. I loved railing the corners. And yeah, finally, in terms of, you know, how it differed from an age group race, if anyone else is looking to make that step up or aiming to turn pro and wondering if there are any tips, for me, as a weak swimmer, it wasn't that different, because it still ended up pretty much being a solo TT. Apart from the start of the swim, I did the whole race on my own. Like, the bike, I was literally on the front on my own the whole time. You know, Finn joined me and stayed with me, but he didn't pull at all. So yeah, it was a solo day out basically, which is the same as age group racing. The one difference was it was way more fun, I would say. You know, it was so nice to be in that atmosphere. And also because you start with the people you're racing, you know where you sit in the race, and when you overtake someone, you know you've overtaken them, rather than being like, oh, did they start 5 minutes before me or 5 minutes after me? So no, it was just really cool to know who I was racing and know where I was in the race. And yeah, all round for me, it was just more enjoyable. Not to say that age group racing wasn't enjoyable for me, but it was, yeah, it was a really good day out. And I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the race. I mean, well, I could drone on, but I don't think there's anything all that useful to say. So yeah, if you have any specific questions, shoot them to me on Instagram or in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see what I can do this weekend in Frejus, because my run's, again, not going to be back to where it was, but I'm hoping my run will be a step up from Gran Canaria again. So yeah, we'll see. Cheers for watching. Catch you in a bit.